All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at GMS. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rallying around the word in truth and sincerity. And Shalom to you believers out there at the Akim Wa'ahwa. And this lesson was inspired by the brother in North Carolina. I believe his name is Aishiyar. Anybody know, they can correct me if I'm wrong. But he did a lesson with this video. And I think I did a lesson on this some time ago. You know, where people go to wake up in the future inside cryonics facility. All right. So, it was inspired by that brother, and I want to go into it. I'm gonna pull a lot of precepts that he got. And, I threw in a couple of ones that I thought about myself. Lord willing, it's edifying. I'm going to kind of let the video play. Let me do something real fast. Oh, yeah, it's already on there. Lord willing, YouTube don't start acting up on me, so we can get this lesson in. But, you see the title of my lesson. The Edomites think they will be able to cheat death someday. And it's very interesting that, these Edomites, man, everything is vanity. And that's why I want to open up with this scripture right here. All right, it says Ecclesiastes 1:1. It says, the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. And we know this was Solomon, and in the reincarnation, Yahweh Shai. All right. Verse 2, vanities of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanities of vanities is all vanity. What profit have a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? Yeah, what profit? All right, you can die. You can build $1 billion company. And when you die, you leave it to your son and he can blow it. All right, everything is vanity. Let's go into that word real quick. Oh, no. Let's go into that word. Vain, man. All this is vanity. A vapor, breath, vapor, vanity. Meaning nothing. All right. Let me see if they give us something else. Vanity. Let me see. Vanity. Got 189 too. That's all vanities. Right here. It's going giving us breath. Figuratively speaking. But we know the breathe, the breath, breathing. Let's go into this. Let's do this. Says
vanity,
excessive pride. We know the Edomites is a proud nation, man. Excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements, right? This is all everything. So Solomon, he searched out, he'll tell you in Ecclesiastes to find the ways of man, basically. He found it was all vanity. Now in that same chapter, I'm gonna jump down to verse 12. It says, I, the preacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This sore travail have the Most High given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. So these Edomites, all of this labor is going to come to naught. All of this labor, cryonics, thinking they can cheat death by freezing somebody, bringing them back, because the spirit, once the spirit is gone, it's a wrap. So let me play this video. I'm gonna kind of let it play. I'm gonna jump in, but I'm kind of just want to let it play so you brothers and sisters can see, because it's a lot. All right. Oh, fair use. Before I start this video, fair use. All right, fair use to. I'm giving the credit to CNET. This is their video. I'm not making any money off of this. It's only for educational purposes. I'm giving the credit to CNET, playing their video for educational purposes. All right, for use.
Our goal is to have reversible suspended animation, just like in the movies.
Can you just put me in stasis and wake me up in the future when everything's okay again?
I hope that I won't have a biological body, but I'll have a body made out of nanobots.
So tell me, is cryonics a pipe dream? Let's face it, we're all going to die, and it'll probably happen sooner than we like. But what if there was a way to escape the apocalypse? In fact, what if we could cheat death altogether? Freeze ourselves in time and wake up in the future when all of our problems have disappeared.
All right, I want to just pause it right there real fast. You see where this is going. All right, you brothers and sisters pretty much get the point of this video. I kind of want to let you see what's going on here. So when you go to Isaiah, all right, 47, verse 10, it says, "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me, thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it have perverted thee." See? And this is where you come up with this cryonics. This is Esau, he has a God complex. And it's going to be stated in this video. "And thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me." All right. This is what this man has said. Now I want to get this real fast, and let's come here to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Matter of fact, no. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 8. In verse 8 it says, "There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit." So you can freeze the body for 50 years. You don't have power over the spirit to retain the spirit. Neither have he power in the day of death. And there is no discharge in that war. No, you can't go to war. You can't cheat death. You can't go to war with Yahweh Shem Yahushua on death. "Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it." Right. So they said to escape the destruction. The Edomites, the elites especially, they know that they're destined for doom. They don't want to go into slavery. They don't want to lose their rulership. So this is why they tussling and doing all that they can to try to cheat death per se. And when you go here to when you go here to Isaiah 45 and verse 9, starting at verse 9, it says what? "Woe unto him that striveth with his maker." Yeah, these inventions, these vain things that they're doing is basically him striving with his maker. Let the potsherd strive with the potsherds. Let the potsherd strive with the potsherds of the earth. Shall the clay say to him that fashioneth, What makest thou? Or thy work has no hands? Woe unto him that say unto his father, What begottest thou? Or to the woman, What hast thou brought forth? Right. So Esau is, striving with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. He's coming up with all these slick inventions. All right, because they haven't came with um, how to reverse, somebody dying, but they got the machinery to freeze the body. All right, so let's go back. Let me see if I can get this. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, let's go back to the video.
The idea of putting humans into cryosleep is everywhere in science fiction. Han Solo trapped in carbonite, Captain America frozen in ice. But what about the real world? Can we stave off death through the power of cryonics? I've come to Scottsdale, Arizona to find out. Welcome to the Alcor Life Extension Foundation, the self-proclaimed world leader in cryonics. For just under $250,000, Alcor is selling a second chance at life. The Alcor team looks after nearly 200 people who are waiting to take that second chance. One small catch: every person preserved here has been pronounced clinically dead. But to Alcor, that's just a technicality.
Our best estimates are that within 50 to 100 years, we will have the medical technologies needed to restore our patients to health and function.
The team at
In
Alcor
50 to 100 years, that's vanity, man. Man, let's get this. Matter of fact, something just came to my mind. Yep, that's what I was looking for. Psalms 49. Psalms 49, it says what? Let me start at verse 10. It says, For he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish and leave their wealth to others. All right, that's why it was all counted all vanity. And that's why he said, what, when you went back to let's go back here. That's why it says, what profit have a man of all his labors which he taketh under the sun? All right. Now, don't get me wrong, it is good to leave inheritance to your kids, okay? But it says what? Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. That's why they saying like in 50 to 100 years, they have all these lofty goals and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. See? So this is their thought. This is why she's saying that. When you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it says, starting at verse 19, it says, For that which befalleth the sons of man befalleth beasts. Every one thing befalleth them. As the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yet they have all one breath, so that a man have no preeminence above a beast. For all is vanity. All go unto one place, all are dust, and all turn to dust again. That's why when in Psalms 149 it says what? For he seeth that the wise man die, likewise the fool, and the rudest person perish, and leave their sons to others, leave their wealth to others. But see, the fool gonna die and the wise, them alike, them both alike. Who knoweth the spirit of a man that goeth up, and the spirit of the beast that goeth down with the earth? So again, once the spirit leaves your body, it's a wrap. No matter what you do to the body, once the spirit go, it's over.
refers to its customers as patients. And just like patients in a hospital, Alcor hopes that in the future, they'll be restored to full health. When they arrive, each body or patient, depending on how you look at it, goes through a technical process to increase their chances of survival on the other side. They're treated with chemicals and drugs, carefully cooled, lowered into a giant steel vat of liquid nitrogen, and stored at minus 196 degrees Celsius, all in the hope that one day they will live again. Alcor's offices are simple enough, but in the middle of this building is possibly the strangest and most unsettling thing I've ever seen. A field of stainless steel tanks holding the bodies and heads of 170 dead people, frozen in stasis.
How many people in each one of these?
Each one of these has approximately 9 patients, 4 whole body patients around the outside, and then there's a stack in the middle which holds 5 neuro patients.
Yes, neuro patients. People who elected just to preserve their heads. Not only is it less expensive, it also saves on space.
That would be the
I brought in one of our first.
Hey, everyone. Our research department tells me that this is the best performing mid ad ever.
Neurocan that the patient is in, and it, of course, has identification on it.
Each of these vessels is known as a dewar, a custom-designed insulated tank that's filled with liquid nitrogen and computer-controlled to preserve the bodies inside. They're massive, even considering how many bodies and heads they contain. But these dewars have been designed to protect Alcor's patients for decades.
Why are they so tall? I can't help but think that I'm not that tall.
There's a lot of insulation, both around, underneath, and on top. These lids do come off. The insulation on the lid comes down almost to here.
Wow.
And people often ask us what happens if the electricity goes out. It doesn't matter for our patients. We do have backup generators to keep our computers running and that sort of thing. But these patients are in liquid nitrogen. It just sits there at minus 196 Celsius. We don't have to cool it. The patients are not damaged in any way by a power outage.
It's hard to imagine who would want to sign up for cryonics. I figured it would just be sci-fi mad doomsdayers or ultra-rich billionaires. But the photos of patients that line Alcor's walls point to a pretty normal-looking clientele. More than 1,200 people have signed up for Alcor's services. Of the 170 patients, roughly 3/4 are men. But otherwise, it's a fairly even spread. Retirees, mums and dads, even a very young girl.
She had brain cancer and her parents had her cryo preserved. They wanted to come over and do a Buddhist ceremony, so we put her picture on the capsule for them to have that ceremony. My husband is in this dewar right here. And so I come in every now and then and say, "Hi, Fred. How you doing?"
Okay, let's get this out of the way. The science behind cryonics is completely unproven. It's highly experimental. Experts say there's no way to perfectly preserve the human brain or reverse the biological finality of death. But for Alcor, being declared clinically and legally dead isn't the end.
Legal death only really means that your heart and your lungs have stopped functioning without intervention. Doesn't mean your cells are dead. It doesn't mean even your organs are dead. Up until maybe 30 or 40 years ago, most people in medicine thought that death was an event, on-off switch. You're either alive or you're dead. It's now pretty well understood that it's a process. It takes hours after your heart and lungs stop functioning for you to really be totally dead.
Alcor says if you intervene early enough and preserve the body as quickly as possible after death, there's no reason you couldn't be brought back in the future when science has improved. So, what exactly?
You see? So, that's exactly why I want to come here to Vanity, man. It's Esau Edom, man. And see, the thing about it is, man, this dude, he have a God complex, man. God complex. No, 47. So let's go here to Isaiah 47. Isaiah 47 and 10 again. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it have perverted thee. Who gave these Edomites the knowledge and the wisdom to even come up with these machines and all of this technology? Yahweh Shem Yahushua through the left-hand side. It hath perverted thee, though. It's perverted. Let's go into that word, perverted.
Strong's H 7725. Shuv. Shuv.
In the Hebrew, it says to return, turn back. It says dying, to turn back, apostate, apostasy, intimate things, repetition, to pervert thee, to turn face, Turn toward to return to restore back. Let's get a simple Google definition of perverted. You know it's kind of going to alter something, okay, from its original course, meaning or state to a distortion or corruption of what was first intended. Yeah, because this guy, the Edomites, what did they do? The Lord created man and woman to be together, but Esau say man and man or woman and woman can be together. All right. The Lord, made somebody come forth and made, let's say the Lord, somebody have a child and it's a boy. Well, Esau said you can be a girl if you want to, and vice versa. Everything this man perverts. Okay. So now he's sent where the Lord say, no, I'll put you on earth for a time, and then you have your time and you got to come back. That spirit got to come back to me. Esau say, no, that ain't got to happen. We're going to reverse that. See? So now let's go back. That's why in the scriptures it said, what? Wisdom and thy knowledge shall have perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. No, you can't escape your judgment. You can't escape the rulership of the Israelites. You can't escape the rulership of Yahweh coming. You can't escape it. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. Yeah, the Lord telling them, stand with your technology. Stand with all your scientists and doctors and all these great wise people, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit. If so be thou mayest prevail. And that's the Lord being facetious, because the Lord knows this man is not going to prevail. Esau just getting a little bit, he getting his rocks off a little bit with this, but he's not going to be able. They said 50 to 100 years. Come on, man.
What do you do to a dead body
50
if you
to
hope
100
to?
years to figure out how to stop death. They can freeze you now. It's akin to you making fake check stubs. You get in an apartment, you got approved for it. You move all your stuff in. You was able to get the apartment, but now you don't know how you're going to pay for it. That's what this is akin to. You done got everything going. You moved in there. You got the apartment looking nice. It smelled good, but you don't know how you're going to pay for it. You don't know how you're going to pay for the upkeep. This is akin to what they're doing. All right.
To bring it back to life one day. After death, there's no reason you couldn't be brought back in the future when science has improved. So, what exactly do you do to a dead body if you hope to bring it back to life one day? Well, turns out it's not as simple as dropping it in a tank of liquid nitrogen. When a patient arrives, they're brought into Alcor's facility for stabilisation. This room kind of feels like a cross between a hospital and a morgue. The initial process varies depending on how long the patient has been dead and whether they were placed on ice before arriving. But here, the goal is to start cooling the body as quickly as possible. And for that, they go into a sort of post-death life support.
The patient is placed in the ice bath and then covered with additional crushed ice. The patient is intubated to restore the lung function and oxygenation to the blood. There's a mechanical thumper, which is placed on the patient's chest so that the blood starts circulating again. And that's important to circulate our protective medications.
But the real action happens in the operating room, where the body goes for cryoprotection. Here, surgeons pump blood out of the patient's veins and replace it with cryoprotectant.
Eventually, you're just trying to cool them down and you're putting effectively like an antifreeze into their veins.
Exactly, as a medical grade antifreeze so that their cells do not crystallize when they go past the ice point.
So, our bodies are made up of about 50 to 60% water. When that water starts to freeze, it forms ice crystals which damage the body's organs and veins. But by replacing that water with cryoprotectant, Alcor says it can slowly lower the body's temperature and it will vitrify, kind of turning into a glass-like state rather than freezing. And in that state, you can keep a cryopreserved body in liquid nitrogen for decades. It takes about 6 to 12 hours to cool the body and fill it with cryoprotectant ready for long-term storage. But the good news? It's much quicker if you're just doing it to a head.
And how long would all of this process take?
Well, it doesn't take as long with the whole body because obviously you don't have this as much of a mass. So the procedure can frequently be only half as long.
Okay, so why would you only preserve your head? Well, the most important thing for Alcor is to keep the brain intact. That's the core of our memories, our personality, everything that makes us who we are. The idea is that by the time technology is advanced enough to bring a brain back to life, we could upload it or even grow a new body from scratch. Once close to 99%.
You see what they're saying, and I want to get this. The reason why, a lot of the reason why you see. Let's where I want to do this. The reason why I was saying, the reason why you see we saw Edom doing these things, right? Because again, he knows his destiny is for doom, right? And that's why they're preparing to fight Yahushua. What the scriptures say: "Woe unto him that striveth with his maker." There's no discharge in water. Esau fight. He can't bring the spirit back. He can't cheat death. He's not going to be able to go to war with Yahushua on the cross. So when you go to Wisdom of Solomon 2, the elites of the so-called white man, they know these things. Wisdom of Solomon 2, for the ungodly said reasoning what he says, but not right. Our life is short and tedious, and in death of a man, there's no remedy, right? So they're really saying there's no remedy, but they're trying to tussle and make it a remedy. They're trying very hard because they know. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, right? So basically, all of these people in this video, what they did was buy $250,000 graves. See, they could have just took that $250,000, had a nice funeral, and had some change left over. All right. Verse 2, for we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as a thought we have had never been. So when the Edomites, the so-called white man, come out of power, it's going to be like he never was in power. In the kingdom, we're not going to remember Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Donald Trump. We're not going to be thinking about them. They're going to be slaves working. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. No, it's not going to vanish. It's going to go back up to the Heavenly Father. And then you guys are going to be brought back in slavery in the time and order of the Heavenly Father. And our name shall be forgotten in time. That's true. And no man shall have our works in remembrance. That's true. We're not going to have a McDonald's in the kingdom. It's not going to be an NBA in the kingdom. It's not going to be a Capitol Records or Mercedes Benz. No. And our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall disperse as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and our end there is no returning. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Right. So their lot is to be destroyed on this side and come back as slaves. And you have the elites, some of them going to survive to be the first fruits. This is their lot. Now, when you go here to Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 41 and verse 10, what do it say? All that are of the earth shall turn to the earth again. Yeah. Okay. So the ungodly shall go from a curse to destruction. You can't escape the destruction. All the wickedness you've been doing. Even this right here is wickedness. This is striving with your maker, thinking you could cheat death. Really, really trying to do it too. They really got nerves. You got to think about Esau. He really planning to go to war with Yahushua. Like, that's capable. Like, he has the capability to do that, just like this. So let's continue. You see the vanity.
Then if the water in the body or head has been replaced, the patient is gradually cooled to minus 196 degrees Celsius. From there, they go into the long-term care room, and that's where they stay.
All right, I'm about ready to start it.
Walking through a room full of fog, surrounded by dead bodies and severed heads, it felt like I was walking through a graveyard. I found it really hard to believe these people would be coming back to live and walk among us. And I'm not alone. In fact, one neuroscientist says the evidence points to a pretty grim outcome for the people who get cryopreserved. Ken Hayworth has a PhD in neuroscience and he's a former member of Alcor. He founded the Brain Preservation Prize to challenge the cryonics community to prove that they could preserve a brain without damaging it. And according to Hayworth, no one has come close.
So I've seen examples of animal brains that were preserved under ideal laboratory conditions by a technique that's very similar to what they say they use in cryonics companies. They didn't show ice crystals, but they showed a tremendous amount of shrinkage. There was probably a lot of damage and to those structures that encode memory.
But if cryonics was your one hope for waking up in the future, then there might be some good news. Hayworth says he has seen evidence of a way to preserve brains so that the neural connections stay intact. It's a technique called aldehyde stabilized cryopreservation.
It almost instantly glues together all the proteins in the brain. Now, you're as dead as a rock at that point. You ain't coming back. But the advantage of that is it glues all of them in position. It doesn't destroy information.
And that means that in the future, you could potentially scan, upload, and even simulate that brain. But there's a catch. You ideally need to do it while a person is living.
What's the downside?
Well, the downside is that it kills you. But then again, everything kills you.
I'm not sure that this is the solution for me. I needed a second opinion. So I decided to make one final stop, the Department of Neuroscience at Columbia University in New York. I needed to know, is death really the end? Could we actually preserve and restore a human brain without any damage? Ken Miller is a professor of theoretical neuroscience at Columbia University. And when it comes to the promise of cryonics, he's not convinced.
So tell me, is cryonics a pipe dream?
In my opinion, yes.
According to Miller, we're a long way from understanding how the human brain works. So working out a way to perfectly preserve it and revive it in the future, that's a long way off.
The most basic answer to how the brain works is we don't know. We know how a lot of pieces work. We know how neurons work, or at least a lot about how neurons work. In my opinion, it's at least thousands of years before we would know and really understand how the brain works. It's just the complexity, it levels and levels and levels and levels. It's beyond really the imagination.
And that's because it's of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He created the brain. That's why it's beyond imagination. Beyond imagination. So he can't even understand how the brain works. Like he said, it's just too much. Too much. And that's going to bring me to and I brought this out in the lesson some days ago. Now, when you go to Second Edges 5, make sure I got it in here. Now, this is Edris, questioning the angel Uriel, like why the Lord couldn't bring all the people on the planet Earth at the same time, and he had a lot of questions, and the angel like, look, so I want to kind of get to the point. Now, when you get to Second Ezra 5 and 33, it says what? And I said, speak on, my Lord. Then he said unto me, thou art sore trouble in mind for Israel's sake. Yeah, because Ezra, he wanted the judgment to come so Israel wouldn't have to basically just suffer how we've been suffering. Lovest thou that people better than he that made them? Yeah, he's asking them like, you think you love Israel more than me? So verse 34, and I said, no, Lord, but of very grief have I spoken, for my reins pains me every hour while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High and to seek out part of his judgment. So Ezra, he wanted to comprehend the way of the Most High. That's like trying to comprehend the brain. They can't do it. It's too complex. And he said unto me, thou can't not. You can't. Just like Esau would never be able to understand the brain in its full capacity. And I said, wherefore, Lord, whereunto was I born then, or was not my mother's womb, then my grave, that I might not have seen the travail of Jacob and the wearisome toil of the stock of Israel. Now, the point in this I wanted to get was that he wanted to comprehend the way of the Most High. Most High like, nah, Verse 36, and he said unto me, number me the things that are not yet to come. So Esau can't do this. Gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad. Make me the flowers green again that are withered. Bring the plants that died, bring them back to life. You can't. Just like Esau's not going to be able to bring a human to life or a dog or whatever. Open me the places that are closed, and bring me forth the winds that are shut up. Show me the image of a voice. You can't do that. You can't show the image of the voice. And then I would declare to thee the things that thou laborest to know. So basically, he was telling Ezra to do things that was impossible to do. See, but it's possible for the Most High to do these things. The Most High can show you the image of a voice. He can bring plants back to life. He can do all of these things. He can number you the things that are not yet to come. It's a similar chapter like this in Job. Let's get that. Basically, I'm gonna close out with this. When you go to Job 38, and I'm getting to it. Job 38, because at the top of the chapter, it says, what? Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Who is this? Let me get that in different versions. Who is this that question my wisdom with such ignorant words? So basically Esau, he does these things subliminally, and he do it outright. Basically, he's saying, like, I know the Most High said we gotta die, but no, I say we can live. So the Lord is asking Job, who is this that questioned my wisdom with such ignorant words? Now I'm jumping down, Job 38:17, it says, Have the gates of death been opened unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Have thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if thou knowest it all. Okay? So he's again he's telling Job to do things that is impossible. All right. Where is the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou should take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shalt know the path to the house thereof. Let me get that in the NLT. See. So Job 38:19, it says, where does light come from? And where does darkness go? Can you take each to his home? Do you know how to get there? So he's asking them like, where do light come from, man? Where do darkness go when light where do the darkness go? Can you tell me where the darkness go once the light comes? No, you can't do it. He was going on, he said, have you ever explored the springs from which the seas come? Have you explored their depths? See, do you know where the gates of death are located? Have you seen the gates of utter gloom? No, no man can do it. So just going back.
Okay, but even if we could find a way of perfectly preserving our brains and uploading them in the future, I still had one question.
If I found a way to cryonically go to sleep and then be woken up in the future, would I still be Claire?
I think so, but it's a funny question because, of course, if it was all information that you got up into a computer that was somehow running and making something feel like Claire, well, we could have a million of them on a million different machines, and each of them would feel like Claire. But immediately, just like twins start having divergent experiences and becoming different people. And so all these different Claires would immediately start having different experiences and becoming different Claires.
But while Ken Miller says we're thousands of years away from understanding the human brain, back in Arizona, Alcor CEO Max Moore has a different view.
I do believe that what makes you who you are can be brought back in the future, so long as you got cryopreserved under reasonably good conditions. I think everything important is hard-coded up here. So long as we retain the structure over time, we'll hopefully reach a point where we can actually restore the function. So right now, all we can do is preserve the structure. We cannot reverse the process today. But I think it doesn't violate laws of physics. It's a matter of time and better technology.
Cryonics isn't cheap. At $220,000 for a full body or $80,000 for a neuropreservation, it's a high price to pay for hope. Moore also says there are no guarantees with cryonics. Alcor doesn't exactly let you choose which day you want to be woken up. Still, I guess your chance of waking up from here is probably better than if you go to the crematorium.
I think what we're doing is we're killing people who could potentially be preserved. We're just throwing them in the ground and letting them be eaten by worms and bacteria, or we're burning them up. And to me, that's kind of crazy when we could give them a chance if they want it.
You see, thy knowledge and wisdom have perverted thee.
See this then as kind of the ultimate insurance policy?
It really is actually real life insurance. I mean, if you think about life insurance, it's actually death insurance, pays out on death. This really is life insurance. It's a backup plan in case you don't live long enough till we figured out the biology of aging.
But
woe unto him that striveth with his maker. You hear the pride of Esau? You see?
while critics say people like the team at Alcor are trying to play God, Moore
Trying to play who? The Most High, man. They say what? I am he and none seeth me.
simply wants to push the bounds of what's possible.
If people say, well, it's unethical to try and live longer, it makes me scratch my head. So compared to what? What is the right lifespan? Do we go to the Bronze Age and people died in their 20s and 30s? Do we go back a little earlier, like a century ago, and people died in their 40s? Is 70 right? Is 80 right? There is no, privileged answer to that. So I think it's ethical to give people the opportunity to live as long as they choose to live in good health.
Remember when we got that definition of perverted? It said, what? It said, alter something from its original course. So you have life and then you have death. That's the original course of everything. Meaning, or a state to a distortion or corruption of what was first intended. It was intended for us to live, for you to be born, you live, and then you die. That was the intention of the Most High. But Esau is trying to pervert that, to distort it, to corrupt it. All right. And now I want to go back to 2nd Esdras 5, because when you go down here to verse 43, when Ezra was asking about, why couldn't everybody be born? So let's just say, you have a relative, they was born, they passed on, and they died, right? Well, it was meant for them to leave the planet at that time. Just like you might have a little cousin that's born after that person passed. It was meant for those two people not to be on the planet at the same time. So your auntie might have died. 2 years later, you got another cousin being born, and it wasn't meant for them two to meet on this planet. So now let's get this. This is Second Ezra, the 5th chapter again, starting at verse 43. So I answered, this is Ezra. So I answered and said, couldst thou not make those that have been made and be now and that are for to come at once, that thou mightest show thy judgment the sooner? See? Then answered he me and said, the creature may not haste above the maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. It's not meant for everybody to be born. So the people that's passed on that's in those chambers, they wasn't meant to be on the planet at this time. They wasn't meant for it. They was meant to go to the spiritual realm, and then just like the people that was born, say you got your little cousin was born yesterday. That little cousin wasn't meant to be born, 20 years ago in 2013. No, it was meant to be born yesterday. See what I'm saying? So now it's continuing on. It's verse 45. And I said, as thou hast said unto the servant, that thou which givest life to all, hast given life at once to the creature that thou hast created, and the creature bare it, even so it might now also bear them that now be present at once. And he said unto me, ask the woman of the womb, and say unto her, if thou bringest forth children, why dost thou it not together, but one after another? Pray her to therefore bring forth 10 children at once. Right, a woman can't have 10 children at once. She can't have 3 children at once. She can have them in a day, like you have twins. One come out, and then maybe like 2 minutes later, another come out. And then maybe some women have multiple babies, but they come out one after another. They don't come at the same time. Verse 47, and I said she cannot, but must do it by distance of time. Then said he unto me, even so have I given the womb of the earth to those that be sown in it in their times. What do that mean? When I was born, it was my time to come. When my mother was born, it was her time to come. We can't be born at the same time because she wouldn't have gave birth to me, maybe. I'm going to be born the same time as my mother and my father. You see what I'm saying? Who's going to birth, how would that work out? All right. Even if, let's just say, me and my mother be on, my mother and my father, okay, we keep going, then I have my kids, then the great grands and the great grands. So our parents, everybody just being born. No, everybody had their time. Marilyn Monroe wasn't meant to be alive right now. Just like Tupac wasn't meant to be around in Marilyn Monroe's time. Just on a carnal level. See what I'm saying? And there's nothing, there's nothing you can do about it, man. Everything had a time.
You can decide when their time is up.
Before coming to Alcor,
He's saying everybody can decide what their time is up. We pretty much get the point. But I want to get this. Ecclesiastes 8:8 again. There is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither have he power in the day of death. And there is no discharge in their war. Can't fight it, Esau. Neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it. Right. So your technology, your cryonics, your Space Force, it's not going to deliver you. So, Lord willing, this was edifying to the next lesson. Shalom.